This is my Mammoth Overland HV trailer. In this video, I want to do a comprehensive overview and review of the trailer. I'm not working with Mammoth or anything like this, so this is a owner's perspective of this trailer. So Charlie and I are going to tell you all about this trailer on this weekend's adventure. All right, buddy, let's go. Let's go. Tell that there's anything back there. The trailer's only 1,600 pounds, so the first time I hooked it up and started moving on flat ground, it honestly took off like I had nothing back there at all. As soon as you start getting into some inclines, like we're 100 miles into the trip now, we just went over Snoqualmie Pass. So as soon as you start starting to climb a little bit, you can tell that you're towing a trailer. But your driving style doesn't have to drastically change like it does with some other trailers, some heavier trailers. I also haven't experienced anything with this trailer that tugs the truck in any way. It's pretty consistent throughout. It drives as it does without the trailer, so any of the bumps or anything that the trailer is hitting, that doesn't affect my truck at all. I can't feel it pulling it at all. I don't know if it's the weight of the trailer or if it's the design of the trailer, but I haven't felt any wind gust affected either. Normally that's something you can feel through the towing vehicle, is if your trailer is swaying back and forth due to wind or tracking weird or something like that. I don't get any of that with this trailer. So on the road, it drives beautifully. I'll get into this a little more later, but while I'm driving, it's also charging the batteries as we're going, like a triple charge, but that's a really, really nice benefit to have. So performing well on road is obviously really important, but if you're looking at getting the Mammoth, that's not what you want to know about. You want to know how this thing handles off-road, and that's what we'll cover next. Things that make it so good off-road is you have 31-inch BF Goodrich KO2 tires, you have Timbren 3500 HD independent suspension, and you have 20 inches of ground clearance. All of those things combined means, for the most part, if my truck can go over something, it's been able to go over it as well. Now there's a few exceptions to that. If you're going into like a divot like this, your hitch and receiver, they're probably gonna bottom out and scrape a little bit. I haven't been in so dramatic of a situation to where I've been caught in that spot, but you can drag the hitch that way. The Mammoth also comes standard with rock sliders. While I didn't use them on this trip, I have hit them a few times and they are great protection to have. They also double as steps for anything you may have mounted on the roof rack. Another thing you need to keep in mind when exploring with a trailer is you can't turn around like you can without. So that's one thing that I have found a little bit limiting, but less limiting than I thought it was going to be. I can still do pretty much everything. I just have to be a little bit more careful about it. Another thing that's amazing about the Mammoth, and this is an optional extra, one that I highly encourage you to get, is the lock and roll hitch. All right, so this is the lock and roll hitch. What's so cool about this is there's kind of 3 points that it pivots on. You have this right up here that can move infinitely, 360 kind of on this plane, so this rotates around like that. You have this pivot point right here that's up and down, and this pivot point that's side to side. So you can see how this allows your trailer to articulate completely separately from the truck. So the trailer isn't going to affect your truck off-road, which is hugely important, because if you're off-roading and you're in kind of a sketchy obstacle, the last thing you want to do is for your truck to behave different than what you're used to and have to react to what the trailer is doing as well. So this kind of separates your tow vehicle and the trailer, and it's a safety thing, but it also allows you to get out further. Super cool. I love this thing. Also standard on the Mammoth is a roof rack and an awning from CVT. The trailer height is only 6 foot 2 inches, so the awning is easily accessible but also high enough so that you're not running into it. While on dimensions, the trailer is also 13 feet 11 inches long from the hitch to the back of the trailer and 7 feet 3 inches wide from tire to tire. Here, Charlie. Come on. So it's just about dinner time, but I figured while we're waiting for dinner, I would answer some questions that you guys had for me regarding the Mammoth. Ones that weren't going to come up naturally as I go about the adventure. So here we go. So one of the questions I got, did I have to do anything to the Tacoma to be able to tow it? I did not. I ordered a brake controller and I still haven't installed it, but all of the towing that I've done clearly has been without the brake controller, and I haven't felt like I've needed it at all. It does have electronic brakes on it, and from what I understand, there's a little bit of an assist without a brake controller. I don't know how much or how meaningful that is in the grand scheme of things. Eventually I'll get the brake controller on because that'll be nice to have. But no, I haven't had to do anything in the Tacoma to be able to tow this. Does it have a heater? When I ordered mine, I did not like the option that they had for the heater. It was an open flame, and it was safe. I just didn't like the idea of it. Now they have a fully enclosed Newport heater that they put in there, and it's an excellent option. I don't have it in mine, but that is an option for the trailer. Someone asked, do you prefer it to a rooftop tent and having to carry all your gear in the bed of the truck? I think that really depends on what you're doing. Typically, if I'm going someplace new, especially with tighter trails, so on the western side of Washington, I don't like to take the trailer because trails can get really tight really quick and you have no spots to turn around. So that makes it really difficult to have the trailer out. But as far as ease of traveling and getting out and being able to do this, the trailer is such a good option because I can just attach it to my truck and go. Everything is already in there. So pros and cons. I hate to give you an answer of it depends, but it depends on what the trip is. Someone asked me what the biggest advantage I feel of overlanding with the trailer versus just my truck. And I think the biggest advantage to having the trailer is when I get to a campsite, I can detach the trailer and go explore more, which I've done almost every time I've been out with it. It's so nice to like find camp. If you find it earlier in the day, you like really like the spot, but you want to see what else is around, you can leave the trailer wherever it's at, lock it up, and then spend a couple hours exploring the area around you. You really can't do that with a rooftop tent. The iCamper has made that easier because the setup and packing away is so easy, but it's still not like the easiest thing to find a place, be hanging out for a bit, and just be like, I kind of want to check this area out a little bit more. Or maybe you have to move locations for whatever reason. The trailer is just a whole lot easier to do all that with. So I think that's probably the biggest advantage, is once you've found camp, you're not stuck there for the night. You can kind of move around and explore a little bit more. So I think that's everything I wanted to cover outside of kind of walking you guys around this thing. Those are very specific questions that I wasn't going to be able to answer just as I kind of gave you an overview of the trailer. So if you have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, but I hope that helped. No, come here. So this is the front storage box. In here is where all the electrical is. So your batteries, your inverter, all the switches, fuses, stuff like that. It is all in the storage box. Also in here are 2 scissor jacks that they go on the back side of the trailer to kind of level the trailer out if needed. Your cassette toilet's in here, and the pop-up shower bathroom is also stored in here. I chose to get the solar panels from Mammoth instead of buying my own, so I typically keep those in here as well. So in here you can see we have an inverter. This is the power switch and fuse panel and everything like that, and then you have 2 AGM batteries. I chose to double the power output, which is that's an option that you have to pay extra for, but it's absolutely worth it. So I have 200 amp hours of power storage in here, and what Mammoth told me is if you're running a 1500 watt appliance consistently, this will run for 12 hours. I've never been close to running out of battery with this thing, with my usage of it, because I spend most of the time out in camp, not in the trailer or with the lights on or anything like that. So I've never had an issue with power. I had mentioned this previously, but when you're towing it, it's actually charging the batteries at the same time through the hookup to your truck. So that helps a lot. And then you have the solar power hookups right here. And this right here is your hookup for at home charging prior to a trip. A couple of things that they've done since I bought mine, and I'm lucky enough to have worked with them and resolved some of the issues. My trailer was the 5th off the line, so they're still kind of working through things, and I knew that when I purchased it, but they have been honestly incredible to work with, but I'll touch on that later. So I did have issues with leaking in the storage box and in the sleeping area itself, but I reached out to them, told them the issue that I was experiencing, and they jumped on finding a solution. So a couple things that they've done, they've doubled up this weather stripping right here to create a better seal. They've reinforced the door, makes it more rigid, so Initially, there was a little bit of bowing, which caused some water to leak into the storage box. And they've also added this gutter system up here. With all of those things, I've had no issues with leaking with those additions. All of that stuff is standard now, so leaking is not going to be an issue. Since I've mentioned the leaking that I was having in the cabin was with my fresh air unit. I don't know if it was an issue with the fresh air itself or what, but that has since been fixed. They took it back. They did a double seal around the top of it. They went through and double checked all of the rivets in the construction of the shell, and they've sealed any potential leaks there. So I haven't had any issues with leaking in the cabin anymore either. Again, I really don't want that to detract from the quality of the product. I think it's amazing. The product is awesome. It's just those initial, like, first bit of manufacturing, trying to figure out everything and how the manufacturing line goes. Like I said, this was a super early unit, so that type of stuff was expecting. I would not expect any issues for any units that they're putting out now, because they've been through all that stuff and they know exactly what they're doing. I'll also say that in the process of getting those things fixed, I worked really closely with Bill Mann. I met quite a few other people in the process of getting that stuff fixed. They're without a doubt the most customer-oriented company in the overland industry that I've worked with. They've been so amazing to work with. They've been easy to get a hold of. They've gone above and beyond in trying to resolve these issues that I experienced. They've been amazing to work with. With all that said, I think it's time for dinner. So, time to show you the kitchen. The kitchen is one of my favorite parts about this trailer. It has a super unique fold-out design rather than the conventional drawer system in teardrop trailers. The kitchen locks in 90 degrees to the trailer, which also gives you some extra working space. You have a 2-burner propane stove, a sink that is hooked up to an instant water heater, and a 45-quart fridge. There's also a pass-through area from the kitchen to the cabin that I like to use for storage, and little cubbies on either side of the pass-through. When the sun goes down, there are also 2 LED strips that light this area. For exterior lighting, there are 6 Baja design rock lights, 3 on each side, controlled by switches inside the cabin. There's also an LED strip in the frame of the awning that is on a dimmer, so you can control how bright it is. Alright, so now we are inside the Mammoth. A super common question is, how much room is there inside? From door to door, there is 76 inches of space. From wheel well to wheel well, there's 56 inches. So it tapers a little bit because it has to make room. They had to make room for the wheel wells themselves. But it is essentially 77 inches long by 76 inches wide. My brother and I have slept in here. My brother is 6'2", I believe. I'm 5'11". We both slept very comfortably in here. Plenty of room to spare. Especially him and I both slept in the Tepui together as well. And that was a little tight for the two of us, but there's plenty of room in here for 2 full-size men. Tonight it's going to be Charlie and I, and there's going to be more than enough room for that. So yeah, those are kind of the dimensions here. You can't stand up in here. From the top of the mattress to the ceiling there's 45 inches, but I don't have a problem with that. My main motivation for getting this trailer was it's super convenient to have the kitchen in the back to be able to wash your dishes and stuff at the end of the trip before going home. And I really like the fact that the only thing that you do in here is sleep. Everything else is you need to be outside, and that's kind of the point. I'm not coming out here to sleep in a trailer and have all the same amenities that I would have at home in the woods. This just allows you a comfortable space at night to sleep. Protects you from the wind, keeps you dry, all that sort of thing. But other than that, you're outside. And that's why I really love the Mammoth. I was also asked about, is there like a workspace in here? Something you could, maybe you want to play cards, maybe you want to do some writing. I've been really into drawing lately, so I think I'm going to do that tonight. And there is, there's a fold-down table that is in the Mammoth that you can use for that. It's 1.5 feet deep and 6 feet long. So there's enough. You kind of have to sit crisscross applesauce or whatever to get under it. But yeah. So typically what I do with this space, that kind of bunk, if you will, is this is where I store all of my gear, all of my clothes and stuff like that. So I have a backpack, I have a jacket. Right now I'm testing out a power station. So I have the power station in here and a space heater. All that stuff goes up here and I still have room to spare. So it's really nice to have this there kind of as storage. That's where I put all of my stuff, and then your feet can go below that so it doesn't take up any of that space. But it's a really nice kind of area to have. You also have these LED strips all the way around, and 3 windows on each side, which is super cool. These LEDs can change colors. And you can change the brightness with them as well. I'm not going to do that because it messes with the camera, but you can change the brightness as well. So, and then behind me is the control panel for everything. So you have your voltage reading right here. This is a USB port. This is a 12 volt like cigarette lighter. And then you have your interior lights, your fan for the fresh air or the regular fan if that's what you get, and then you have your rock lights right here. There are 4 like household outlets There's a carbon monoxide detector, there's a fire detector in here. You have 2 more USB ports over here. So it's pretty well equipped in here, and this was the early model. So with the Mammoths that are coming off the line now, there's interior storage at the front of the Mammoth. There's like little cabinets and stuff, or shelves that they're putting in here, and they've repositioned the outlets as well. So that's kind of the interior. You also have this pass-through, which I will steal my dessert from there later. But that's kind of it. It's a pretty modest interior, but again, that's why I love it. Mammoth celebrates being outside. I'm in here to sleep, and that is pretty much it. So yeah, that's the inside. No, come here. Come. $5:30. Wanting to play fetch. It's pretty much Charlie. So Charlie and I had a good night in the Mammoth. Plenty of space in there for him and I to sleep comfortably, although he still wanted to be essentially on top of me, but that's how he rolls. Because I'm an idiot and didn't pack the refrigerator well, I don't have breakfast this morning, so we're going to kind of enjoy the fire for a little bit, watch the sunrise, and we're gonna head out pretty quickly. So I think the best question to ask someone after they've bought something is, would you buy it again? And there's a lot of things to consider. I think that one question kind of envelops a lot of other questions. How was your purchasing experience? How was your post-purchasing experience? How has the product been for you? Has it met your expectations? Has it done everything you expected it to do, everything you wanted it to do? All of those things. Considering all those, would you buy the product again? I would 100% buy the Mammoth again, especially with what they have out now. The trailer's been around for over a year now, So they've spent that time doing more developing, more tinkering, and they've really figured out, and they're starting to offer more things for the trailer. For instance, you can get paint on the trailer now. They're developing a tire swing out for a spare tire. They've redesigned the kitchen, so instead of a steel frame with aluminum sheet metal, the whole thing is, I think they call it a monocoque aluminum frame. So it's supposed to be lighter, more rigid, all that stuff. I mentioned the storage in the cabin, the shelves or cabinets that they're putting in there, and the repositioning of the outlets. So all those things in mind, I love my trailer as is, but I think they have an even better product now. Yes, there's been a price increase. If you're interested in the trailer, reach out to them for pricing. I don't want to cover that in this video. But supply chain issues is a real thing, and the cost of aluminum alone has more than doubled since these trailers started being built. So talk to Mammoth if you have any questions about pricing, or if you're interested in putting your deposit down, getting one on order. But I would 100% buy this trailer again. I love this thing.
I hope you guys like this style of review. If there was anything that I did not cover that you have questions about, please feel free to leave them in the comments and I will answer them as soon as I can. The Mammoth has truly changed the way that I've approached trips. With a not even 1-year-old son, 2 dogs, a full-time job, responsibilities at home, and YouTube, I have very little free time. I'm sure that there are a lot of people here that can relate to that. Having the Mammoth allows me to have everything in one spot, so all I have to do is hook up the trailer, hit the store on the way out, and I'm good to go. It simplifies getting out as well as the cleanup once home, and makes trips much easier, therefore more frequent. I feel very fortunate to be able to have this trailer, and I hope this video has helped you see the benefit of having a setup like this and showcase the innovation that the Mammoth team has put into their product and the overland industry. Until next time, I hope you're able to get off the grid and off the grind, and I'll see you in the next one.